told you you had hypoglycemia, because that was what everybody had in the 70s. And then in 1982, William Crook wrote the book, The Yeast Connection. And if you'd ever taken one antibiotic and taken one birth control pill, now you had chronic yeast. And so everybody in the 80s was diagnosed with yeast infection. And then they said, oh, that passed. And then we got to the 90s. And now we have people with the yuppie disease, which they then said, oh, that's chronic fatigue syndrome. But we don't recognize chronic fatigue syndrome because we can't find anything on your lab test. So that's psychological disease. We'll just make that one up. Adrenal fatigue, okay? Adrenal hypofunction. Then we got into the 2000s. Now we got into this whole celiac thing. Everybody had gluten sensitivities, and everybody had celiac disease. And wheat and gluten is the worst possible thing you could get. So that went on for a decade. And then we got into the decade of Lyme disease, where now we have a real disease. And if you actually go back and read the books like I did, the 125 symptoms for hypoglycemia, for candida, for chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, for celiac, and Lyme are all exactly the same. There's no difference in those 5 conditions, and it just did different decades. In another 5 years, it'll be called something else. Maybe it's going to be the EEE one. It's like the encephalitis one is now like what the number that's all. They said, oh, it's increasing now. And people should start recognizing, why are these diseases increasing? They're not increasing. It's what we're doing to ourselves that basically is decreasing our ability to deal with it. It's just a virus, for God's sake. It's just a bacteria. And unfortunately, it's going to be here a lot longer than we are. And if you look at ecological and biological medicine, if you look at the fact, you know, what happened, and starting in the 1950s, was the advent, actually started in 1941 in the Second World War, when antibiotics made the scene and got rid of foot rot, per se. And then they became common in the 1950s, and I think in 68, the Health General said, oh, we've eliminated all chronic disease due to infection. So guess what happened? AIDS starts showing up. Hepatitis starts showing up. Now we have all these viral diseases start showing up. Oh, now we got fungal diseases showing up. Why? Because antibiotics have removed the competition. So if you think of a triangle, one corner is bacteria, one corner is viruses, one corner is fungus. You get rid of one corner, the other two say, let's have a party. So now we start seeing a lot more viruses and fungal diseases, and so well, we can't stamp those down. And now Michael sent me a thing, oh, we got this new antibiotic. I said, there is no better mousetrap than the body's own immune system. Function on that, work on your own lymphatics. That's your best antibiotic. That's how we're going to deal with these chronic diseases.
Could one of you address I think using the rain barrel analogy is really helpful for people when they're thinking about bioregulatory medicine. Does somebody want to describe that?
For that, I'll talk about that.
The whole idea is, you know, over time, literally starting, I say, a year before you were even conceived, and if you didn't choose your parents well, too bad, because you're screwed. Basically. So, we have this barrel. We have so much reserve within all our organ systems. So every organ system has the ability to regulate. Of course, the brain up here, we have one, is supposed to regulate all these systems. And over time, every time we get exposed to something, whether it's mold, whether it's bacteria, whether it's a virus, whether it's electronics, the EMFs, it just adds a little bit more into the barrel. And by the time patients come to see us, they're either Lyme or whatever, and they've tried 10 different things. This barrel just keeps overflowing. And you try and if you don't lower what's in the barrel, it'll just keep overflowing, and you can never take something. So instead of trying to you need to punch a hole in the side through biological therapies and let it drain out at a rate that the body is able to tolerate. And so that's how you're going to lower the toxic load on your system through all the different types of things, whether it's emotional stress, psychological stress, and in fact, emotional stress is the greatest stress that we all suffer from. It's much greater than environmental stress. It's how we deal emotionally and how our brain has learned to deal with it, because it's our #1 survival aspect. So You know, you don't want a full rain barrel because the next rainstorm, it just starts dripping over the top. You need to somehow keep draining this barrel and you have a fair bit of reserve. The trouble is when patients come to see us, there's no reserve left. And that's often the case with Lyme, is that they have taken treatment X, Y, Z, they either have no resources left or they have no proper immunological function or normal function within their other organ systems to be able to how do I deal with this? And guarantee you, lymphatics will be incredibly, I would say 100% of Lyme people will have lymphatic problems.